Hi class, and welcome to the next lesson for the topic Expressions and Substitution. So you've got your LO at the top and there's your retrieval task. If you can pause the video and give yourself 7 minutes to work through these, and then we'll go through them. Okay, so here we go. Here's our answers. Let me get my little laser pointer up so you can see where we're at. So for the first one, it's just column method for multiplication. For B, we're using our rounding skills, so we've got two significant figures. So our answer, as you can see, it's going to have two significant figures. The rest is going to be all zeros. That's a good way to remember how you want your answer to look at the end. So we look to the 4 is our first significant figure. Remember the first non-zero number. Second number is our second significant figure, so we draw the line after that. We then look to the 6 in the thousands column, which means our 5 in the 10,000s column rounds up. Everything else then becomes 0. Let's have a look at E as well. So the exchange rate is $1 is the same as £1.20. So we want to get to $150. So they've wrote down the exchange rate here. Then they've gone, okay, we want to get to 150 in the dollars column. So we multiply both sides by 150 because they move in proportion. And that gives us 180 as our answer in pounds. And finally for F, find the circumference of a circle when the diameter is 12 centimeters. So remember, the diameter is basically the width of the circle through the center. So we know that the circumference, which is C here, as they put at the top, is equal to pi 3.14 times by D, which is our diameter. As you can see, they've labeled it here in the question. So we do 12 times pi, and the answer here has just been left as 12 pi centimeters. Give yourselves a mark out of 6 and keep a note of that. Get my pen now. So today we're looking at substitution. So we're given here that A is 9 and B is 4. So we need to work out the values of the following. So all we have to do is substitute in our value. So if A is 9, then that's going to be equal to 9 squared. We know that 9 squared, or 9 to the power of 2, means 9 times by itself. And we know that gives us 81. So pause the video now and give yourselves 30 seconds trying to solve the we do. Okay, so here we go. So we're substituting in B. We're told that B is equal to 4. So B cubed is just 4 cubed, which we know is 4 times 4 times 4. So as you can see, that 3 corresponds to the fact that we've got 3 of these 4s multiplying together. So we know that gives us 64 from all our practice on powers and indices. So give yourselves the mark if you got that right. So on to the next one. So now we're given that A is negative 8 and B is 4. So I have the tougher one this time, makes a change. So first of all, for the I do, let's replace it. So we have the cube root of A is equal to, so let's replace, so what it says in our first success criteria, replace each variable with the value that we're given. So we want the cube root of negative 8. So basically we're saying what number multiplies by itself, or what number times by itself 2 more times will give us minus 8. So that's going to be minus 2. So if we want to do a little check with that, let's do minus 2 times minus 2. Negative and a negative will give us a positive, so that will give us 4. Then let's times it by minus 2 again. So negative 2 times by 4. Positive and a negative will give us a negative, and we get negative 8. So we've worked backwards there and found that minus 2 times minus 2 times minus 2 will give us the negative 8. So there's our answer correct. So pause the video and give yourselves 30 seconds to substitute into the we do. Okay, so here we go. So we're substituting in our corresponding variable, or corresponding value for the variable, sorry. So our b is 4. So basically, what is the square root of 4? So what number times by itself gives us 4? We know that's 2. So again, give yourselves the mark if you got that right. Okay, so again, we have the same variables. So read the question. Given that a is equal to -8 and b is equal to 4, work out the value of the following. So success criteria, so replace the variable with the value, then look to the operations, and then apply them in the order that BidMass dictates for us. So I'm just going to change the a and the b. So the a is -8, and then we're subtracting b, which is 4. So if we're at -8 below 0, and then we take away 4, we're going 2 lower. So we get to -12. Pause the video now and do the same for me on the video. Okay, so I'll replace the a value again with -8. I'm then subtracting 10 from that, as my expression says, and then I'm adding b, which is 4. So BidMass tells us if it's only addition and subtraction, we work from left to right. So we're on -8, and then we're subtracting 10. So that will take me to -18. And then I'm still going to add 4. So if I'm adding 4, I'm going up 4. So I'm going to get to -14. Again, give yourselves the mark if you got that right. They are slowly getting a little bit more complex with more operations involved. Okay, so here we go. On to the next idea. So we'll replace, again, we have the same values for our variables. A is -8 and b is equal to 4. So you can highlight that. So now I'm going to replace them. So b is equal to 4, and then I'm subtracting a, and we know that a is -8. So again, we're looking at subtracting negative numbers. So subtract and negative, we have two negative symbols next to one another, so that becomes a positive. So we've got 4 added to 8, which gives us 12. So the important bit in this idea is the fact that we are subtracting, and then we still, from this here, we still need to keep the negative symbol that goes with the 8. We don't just do 4 subtract 8 because the a is negative. So pause the video and give yourselves a go at the we do. Give yourselves 30 seconds. Okay, so replacing the values. So a is -8, and then we're subtracting -8. I'm putting in the brackets so you can see that this has come from a. And just like over here, you can see this has come from a. So the negatives next to each other mean that we're going to end up with -8 plus 8. So if I'm at -8 and I move up 8 places, I'm going to get to 0. So again, give yourselves the mark if you got that right. So we have a fair few more now. Let's see if I can do this a little bit smaller. So I'm replacing the variable. Again, my values for a and b are the same. So 5, and it's next to the a, so that means 5 times by a. So 5 times by -8, positive and a negative, going to get a negative answer, going to get -40. For a times b, we're going to have -8, and that's going to be times by 4. So again, positive and a negative, I'll get a negative answer. So I will get -32. For our next one, I have a squared, and the square term only corresponds to our a. So I have -8 squared times by 4. Well, this is going to test my mental arithmetic. So we have the -8 times -8 for the squared. That will give me 64. And then that 64 is being times by 4. So, and I'm eating into the we do here. That's going to give us 256. On to the next one. So we have negative a. So negative, and then our a is negative 8. So again, this negative and a negative are going to give us a positive. So our answer is just going to be 8. And then last, we have a over b in a fraction. So on the top of the fraction, we put our negative 8. And on the bottom of our fraction, we put our b, which is 4. So then we can simplify this, so we can take out a factor of 4 on the top and the bottom. So on the top, we end up with negative 2, and on the bottom, we'd end up with 1. So our answer there is just negative 2. Now pause the video and give yourselves a minute and a half to work through this one, because there are 5 examples. Okay, so here we go. So get your green pens ready to be marking these. So we have negative 5 times by b, which is 4. So a negative and a positive, we get minus 20. B times a, so we have 4 times by negative 8, which is equal to positive and a negative. It's going to be minus 32. A cubed, so for a cubed, we've got negative 8 times by itself for 2 more times. But then timesing that by b, which is 4. So for that, we'll get so our negative 8 times by itself another 2 times, we're giving minus 512. And then I times that by 4, I'll get minus 2048. That is a minus there. So it's negative, that answer. So then for negative a, it's just the same as we did over here, no difference. So that will be an answer of 8. And then b over a is going to give us 4 over negative 8. Which will give us, so we can take our factor of 4 again. So on the top, we're going to get 1 over 2. So we're going to get minus a half. Now this is where our bid mass comes into it a little bit more. So again, I'm going to replace my a value with negative 8, because we still have the same values. Subtract, and then we have in the brackets b, which is 4, and we're subtracting a. So we're subtracting negative 8. So we do the brackets first, as bidmass tells us. So we have 4, the 2 minuses become plus, so we have 4 plus 8 in the second brackets, which gives us 12. And we're subtracting that from b, 5 times by negative 8, so we're going to get negative 40, subtract 12. So if we're at negative 40 and we go 12 lower, we're going to get to negative 52. Let's now give the WeDo a go, guys. This is the second to last example before you'll be let loose on some of your own. Give yourselves 45 seconds to do this. Okay, so let's go through it. So we have 6 times by a, which is negative 8. We're then subtracting. In the brackets, we've got a, which is negative 8 again, subtract 4. So in our second brackets, which we do first due to bidmass, we have negative 8 and we're going 4 lower, so that's negative 12. See how I'm keeping the brackets in still so I don't lose negative symbols. We then do 6 times by negative 8, which is going to leave us positive and a negative, and we're multiplying leaves us with a negative. 6 times by 8, we're going to get 48. So negative 48, subtract negative 12. These two here, we're going to end up with a positive symbol. So negative 48 plus 12, I'm still going to be negative. It's going to be negative 36. So there is your answer. Give yourselves the mark if you got that right. Really well done if you did. And here is our final example. So still, given that A is -8 and B is 4, work out the value of the following. So I'm just going to replace my values again. So on the top we have 5 times by -8. And we're dividing by B, which is -8, subtract 4. So on the top we've got a positive times by a negative. So with our order of operations, when we have a fraction like this, we just deal with the numerator and then the denominator, deal with them separately, and then we can look to divide. So we get -40 on top, and then on the bottom we have -8 minus 4, so that's going to be -12. So now we can take out a factor of -1 from top and the bottom, and they can both become positive. We then have 40 and 12, so I can see that both of those share a factor of 4. So I can divide top and bottom by 4 and get 10 on the top and 3 on the bottom. And I'm just going to leave that as an improper fraction. I could, if I wanted to, say that we have 3 and a third. What I'm going to say, either is fine, especially for the next we do. So pause the video, and then on the final one, give yourselves 45 seconds to solve this, and then we'll move on to the practice examples. Okay, so again, subbing them in, we've got 6 times by -8, all over A, which is -8, subtract 4. So on the top, we're ending up with 6 times by -8, positive and a negative, give me a negative. 6 times by 8, I'm going to end up with 48. And on the bottom, -8 take away 4, it's negative again, -12. So again, because I have basically my fraction is a division. So I'm dividing a negative by a negative, so my answer will end up positive. So there we go. So 48 divided by 12, 4 goes into both of those. I know that 4 goes into my top number 12 times. And I know that 4 goes into my bottom number 3 times. And again, I can take out a factor of 3, so I can get 4 over 1. So my answer is just 4. So give yourself the mark if you got that right. Great work if you did. Remember, as we move on to the practice examples, that you do have the success criteria at the bottom to help you. It's what it's here for. If you get stuck, don't get disheartened, just look to that. Or look to your previous examples that we've just done. Here we go. So pause the video, and using the given values at the top, make sure you read the question, make sure you're patient with it, and apply your order of operations in the correct order. Give yourselves 4 minutes to work through these. Okay, and here are your answers. Pause the video now while you mark these. Give yourselves a mark out of 12. And pause the video now, guys. Remember to read the question, and take into consideration what we're given as A, B, and C this time, because they have changed. Give yourselves again another 4 minutes to work through these, because they are tougher. Okay, and here are your answers. They've shown you which order that they've worked everything through in. This is what your solution should look like as well, to avoid errors, to avoid silly mistakes. Okay, and here are the final set of questions that are set out in a fractional form. So give yourselves 5 minutes this time on a final task. Remember, with the fractions, we deal with either the numerator first or the denominator, and then look to simplify. And here are the final set of answers. So again, give yourselves a mark out of 8. Great work today, guys. Make sure you send all your answers and your scores through to your teacher. Make sure you go on to Hegarty as well and check if you've got any homeworks. And then just take a moment to reflect. Think about what went well, what was easy, what was tricky. Did you struggle with remembering the order of operations? Was it multiplying and adding with negative numbers? If so, you can always go to Hegarty and revise that. Well done, guys. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.